I'm Joanna Small, your Public Affairs and Communications Manager for the Lynnwood Police Department. It's Friday, April 15th, and this is your LPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of some of the most notable incidents your Lynnwood police officers responded to over this past week or so. On April 2nd, officers were called to the Ulta Beauty parking lot for a man and woman who were having a verbal argument. When we arrived, a man in a blue Ford Ranger immediately took off from the scene, and we quickly learned the truck was stolen. The driver began to elude officers. We did not pursue, but continued to follow the vehicle without our lights and sirens. The vehicle malfunctioned near the 196th off-ramp on I-5, and the driver got out and ran. One of our officers caught up with him on foot and arrested him for possession of a stolen vehicle and obstructing a law enforcement officer. We learned additionally he had a felony no-bail warrant out of the Department of Corrections and no driver's license. The vehicle was towed and will be returned to its rightful owner. On April 4th, officers were called to the aftermath of what appeared to be a road rage incident in which the driver of one of the vehicles was pepper sprayed in the face. The victim told us he had observed a vehicle driving erratically and aggressively on Alderwood Mall Parkway, and when he pulled into the BECU parking lot, that vehicle pulled him behind him and blocked him in. He told officers a man and woman got out and began yelling at him, then pepper sprayed him in the face when he opened his driver's side door. He then heard a thumping on the rear of his car and later discovered they had written a slur on his rear left window in red paint, which he had wiped off. Unfortunately, there is no surveillance video of the altercation. On March 31st, we were dispatched to Best Buy for a theft, but ended up arresting a wanted felon who may have information on a shooting incident in Seattle. The man was suspected in several Best Buy thefts. We contacted him outside the store and discovered an illegal switchblade knife in his pocket. We also spotted a pistol in his vehicle, which is illegal due to his Department of Corrections status. He had a DOC warrant for escaping custody, with the original charge being robbery. He told officers the gun was related to a Seattle shooting he was not involved in. A search warrant was served on the vehicle last week, and officers recovered the loaded revolver, as well as drugs, drug paraphernalia, and a manufactured dagger. Charges for unlawful possession of a firearm, 2 counts of possession of a dangerous weapon, drugs, and theft are pending. Do you recognize this woman? On April 4th, she was caught on surveillance stealing about a dozen pairs of sunglasses from Macy's, totaling about $3,000. If you believe you recognize her or have any information about this incident, please call the number that's on your screen. How about this woman? On April 6th, she stole merchandise from Nordstrom Rack. When she was approached by a loss prevention employee and told to put the items back, she said she was with a car full of men who would shoot the employee if he did not leave her alone. He took her threat seriously and watched her get into a gray Toyota RAV4 with no license plates. If you believe you recognize her, call the number that's on your screen. On April 9th, officers were called to Home Depot by a woman who told us she tracked her stolen vehicle to that location. We located the vehicle with a woman inside, and instead of complying, she began driving and rammed several police cars. She then peeled out of the parking lot and began driving away erratically. We did not engage in a pursuit. Officers instead positioned themselves at intersections and overpasses to watch for the vehicle, which sideswiped a bystander vehicle. Eventually, we found the vehicle abandoned near the convention center, but witnesses described which direction they had seen the driver run. We found her and took her into custody. The owner of the stolen vehicle also described a man who had been in it with the female suspect. We later found him at the Home Depot and learned he had a felony warrant out of King County. The female suspect had a backpack with drugs, various sets of shaved keys, and credit cards and passports belonging to other people. Inside the stolen vehicle were golf clubs, a stereo, an amp, and subwoofer, all of which were stolen, and we were later able to return to the rightful owners. On April 13th, officers were called to Target for reports of a theft in progress, and a foot chase ensued. When we arrived, we found the suspect rummaging through the stolen merchandise outside the store, and he ran across several lanes of traffic on 184th Street Southwest, nearly causing a collision. He dropped a pair of cutters once we caught up with him. He was arrested, and we learned he had multiple warrants out of King County. On his person, we found a tool used to disable security tags on merchandise for sale. Because the suspect also used a shopping cart inside Target to ram into an employee for the purpose of escaping without paying, he is now facing strong armed robbery charges. On April 14th, officers attempted to conduct a traffic stop on a vehicle whose driver was wanted on a DUI warrant, but instead of pulling over, the driver fled. We followed without initiating lights and sirens, and to escape, the driver turned down a dead-end street. The driver bailed out and ran, but one of our officers followed on foot and caught up with him. He surrendered without further incident and was arrested on the warrant, as well as suspicion of DUI, drugs, and ignition interlock violation, reckless driving, failure to obey an officer, and obstructing a law enforcement officer. And finally, K9 Cairo has been a very good boy. Everett Police made a criminal traffic stop on a known felon and requested Cairo's assistance as a narcotics detection dog. Cairo alerted to the presence of drugs inside the vehicle, which gave EPD the ability to request and receive a search warrant. Inside, they found a loaded rifle, a loaded stolen pistol, 75 grams of meth, 528 fentanyl pills, and 23 grams of heroin. Good job, Cairo, and good work, officers. That's all for now. We'll see you next time.